Yeah, let's talk about pornography amongst the women, the female gooners. Okay, now this is not just a video to call them weird and all that kind of stuff, and go after them. No, no, no. I want to talk about how open they are about it, right? And the same problem you have with men who are open with it, you have the same problem with women. You know why? Because pornography is always bad. See, I know we want to live in this fantasy land. Like, it's all good as long as as long as you're doing it, what is it, responsibly, you can't. It always leads to darkness. Always. The more you read it, the more you read books on it, the more you look at it, the more you see it, it always gets worse. It never just gets better. You don't go from normal vanilla porn, what they call it, to more vanilla. No, you don't go from soft core to softer core. No, you go from soft core to hardcore, from hardcore to vanilla, from vanilla to fetishes, from fetishes to kinks. Okay? And then we know how it ends. Okay? But I want to combine one thing and make it into another thing, okay? We're gonna take the Lakari situation that happened a month ago, and we're gonna take the female Gooner situation and put it together. Why? Because Lakari got in trouble because he had a folder displaying porn that apparently came out to just be normal porn, but it was labeled really sick stuff like jailbait and all that stuff, and teens and family and incest. The reason I want to talk about this is because Sinners and Stardust was a convention that came about from all this smut. I think it's been happening, but it's gotten worse, right? If you look at the pictures and all that kind of stuff, I don't get nobody free publicity over here, but I can describe things. I'm a good storyteller. Imagine a white face, right? A white goat face, eyes, blacked out, horns sticking out, man abs. Okay? There you have it. That's what people were dressing up as. Then you had the classic black dress, a woman who's all red, black dress, tail, looking like a demon, Satan, whatever you think he looks like. Right? Now, take that same goat that I just explained and make it a cow. Okay? Make it a cow or a bull. Okay? For it to be a man. Like we even care. All right, let's make that man furred out, right? Got fur on it, just like a normal bull. Face of a bull, mouth of a bull, tongue of a bull, horns of a bull, clip clop, hooves of a bull. Now, if somebody was to have sex with such thing, would you call that odd? Yes, if you call what furries do is odd, baby, having sex with a bull is odd. Now, there are some good points that have been made. But before we get to those, I want to go back to the Lakari situation. Because there was another video that was made on Lakari 2 weeks ago, right? And these guys were talking about, I couldn't believe that he was actually into that stuff. Even though he said he was into that stuff, I couldn't believe he was actually into watching Loli, which is just little kids that are in anime and they say they're 12,000 years old. No. Freaks. Okay? So he says he's openly into this, has 3 terabytes of hentai and all this other blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then as these two guys are talking about it, this guy over here, I don't know his name, but he says, I look at Warren, I look at hentai. And the guy over there goes, yeah, we know you look at tentacles. And this guy has the audacity to say, yeah, I'm just not into the weird stuff. Women with bulls, men looking at tentacles. Where is all this gone? Right? This is what happens when none of this stuff has been pushed. Now, I know everybody's like, I love anime. I know everybody's talking about how riveting it is. I'm sorry, the weirdest guys I've ever met are the guys who are in anime. I'm sorry. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care how big their channels are. I don't care how big they are at the Comic Con and wherever you go in life to see these anime people. If you've been around enough anime people, you know no matter what, who they are, they're odd individuals. I've seen the biggest YouTubers who talk about anime, and then when they play a video game, what's the first thing they go to when they see a female? Ooga, she got a fat animated booty. Bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't even play a video game without thinking about the cake. Like, I've watched so many videos, and I have to quit watching these guys because every time a female shows up, it's like, dang, she got cake, dang, she got a booty, dang, she got ass, dang, she this, she. It's the same thing with the women. Of course, it may not be a man, it may be a half bull, dragon slash vampire, but it's the same nonsense. And the reason all this stuff is troubling because we just look past it. We have letting porn just completely saturate our lives. We've already talked about the Twitch. We haven't talked about this, but you already know about how Twitch shows sexual scenes to kids all the times on that website because they're a failing company and they have to show breasts in order to make it work. They don't care if kids become a product of it. They don't care if kids get addicted. They don't give a F about none of that. Nobody cares about the kids ever. So, what do you get when you get children who grow up with these freaks online who like to show them nude and all that and cosplay and all that kind of stuff? You know, they might not be showing it, they might not always be showing them honkers, but sometimes it's very sensual, very, oh, well, all that extra stuff. What do you think you're going to get? You're going to get freaks and geeks that want to look at Pokemon Smash or Pass. Pokemon Smash or Pass. And then you'll get women who want to milk a demon. A demon, dog. Not and then the audacity. You got so much of this stuff around us saying men are evil and women are thoughts. So you get all this jacked up masculinity and femininity. And so you get these weird thinks and fetishes, and you got men who want to get with disabled girls who can't walk because they want to be protected. You got women who want to get with half dragons because they want to tame a guy who would normally bite their head off, but he's not going to bite your head off. He's just going to bite you gently, just enough for you to feel a little freaky. Now I'm going to say the truth out loud that we all really should be saying. Okay? Is it weird? Yeah. Is it odd? Of course. Can we laugh at it sometimes? Sometimes. But at the end of the day, honestly, guys, it's really demonic, sick, satanic stuff. All the stuff that these people be talking about, the Epstein files and drinking blood and eating babies, but yet yet some of y'all read books that talk about getting slapped, choked, and taken advantage of, and having your skin ripped and being forced against it. That's normal too. I'm supposed to say that's normal, but I want that kind of masculinity. I want to be able to. Oh no, that's not normal. No. Men talking about I want a woman who does all this and just submits to me and calls me daddy and turns around and lets me smack it. Weirdo stuff. You men and women have completely got desensitized, and it's not all your fault. I'm sorry to say this. I wish I could just say you're a freak. You need help. You probably do, but I don't want to sit here and say it's all you because from a young age you've been getting, especially now in the digital age, these young kids from the very bottom, as soon as they go on Twitch, they see booty crack. And then the men who claim to be these are who you're supposed to be. You need to be more like these men, these streamers who are sitting in their rooms, letting burritos rot in their room. Or if they're not doing that, they're just yelling and acting all crazy and bringing on big booty rappers and letting them shake their ass and going, yatch! And that's all these kids get. That's what they watch streaming for. Yeah, do some of them love video games? Yes, I'm sure. Some of them want to watch God of War. Some of them like to watch GTA RP or Minecraft or whatever. I'm sure some of these kids do enjoy that. But the big dogs, what do they come for? They want to see a girl's jacket just zip just right. They want to see her jacket zip just right with a mirror behind her and the bikini top. Or they want a girl who's just sexual enough, who talks just high enough, who's just cute enough. And every now and then she'll get up and shake that tail feather. Every now and then she'll get around and show you just a little. She teases you just enough. Because that's enough for a young boy. For a grown-ass man, no, they're going straight to the Blue Girls. Or they're going straight to xxx.com. Okay, they're going somewhere there. But the young men who don't know what's going on in life, That's where they get started. They just get teased just a little. And so these women can just rake in that money. Same thing with the men. They bring in a beautiful girl, call her a whore, but let her show off that tail feather, and then slowly tease you young men. I hope you guys understand that at the end of the day, the evil is trying to get everybody into pornography. Porn is a gateway to all. Now let's talk about Sinners and Stardust. If it wasn't a problem, why were men at this thing and women both getting groped? One man got groped so bad he had a panic attack because the women were sticking their hands down his pants and grabbing his baseballs in his bat, and they would not leave him alone, to the point where they tracked him back to his hotel so they could bother him more. See, that's why, that's why those books are fantasy. That's why fantasy is a problem. There's nothing wrong with playing a little Harry Potter. Not a fan of Harry Potter, but whatever. There's nothing wrong with a little Harry Potter. You want to get into a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm cool. But the more you dive into fantasy, the more those lines start to get blurred. You read all these damn books about these men being masculine and wanting to stick their into your all the time, and you think that when you see a man, he's mad. See, here's one of the problems I've always had. Even though, yes, a large percent of men do look at porn, this is very misconstrued that all men want to have sex with any girl they see. That is a misconception. Porn, once again, is a degenerate thing. It is something that's not real. So that's just like saying if a woman does OnlyFans, that automatically means that any guy who she sees, she's ready to suck them off. No. So one of the misconceptions happens that men are just these sexual ravenous beasts that anytime you see them at a party, you're allowed to touch them and grope them and all that. That's that same thing that happened with that streamer boy and that streamer girl who, Nina Lynn. When her and Zoe were deciding that they wanted to get all over this boy just because he was a man, and then they made fun of him for not liking it. It's the same stupid ass bullshit. People just go and decide to. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little upset, but people decide to go ruin people's lives because they just think, because they're a man, he must just love it. But no, this other man had a panic attack until he passed out. This other guy also had a panic attack and is scarred, right? It's just so stupid, right? And we have allowed pornography to seep into our lives, and when it happens, every single time, I'm telling you, I don't care what the world says, I don't care what they believe, I don't care what you're told. Porn always leads to darkness if you do not find your way out. You will become desensitized. I'm not saying you're going to go out there and commit crimes and do all the stuff these weird ass women were doing to this man. I'm simply saying it won't get better. It will never get better. And if you ever get into a situation where sometimes you can let that inner fantasy come out, it's gonna go horrible for you, right? Horrible. I talked the other day about the Chris Hansen stuff and all the men who go after kids, right? I know we're kind of taking a left turn here, but stay with me now. It's the same concept. They all say the same damn thing. I look at porn a lot and I'm lonely. Loneliness is caused by porn. Porn causes loneliness. And it's a cycle that never stops. Right? And then they get into fantasy land. The same thing with these women, with that guy. They decided to grope until he passed out from panic attacks. The same thing. These women keep reading these fantasy books and just slowly, and the next thing you know, they're just molesting people. Sorry. I hope you realize that's how it goes. It just manifests itself in a different way. Right? And that's why you sometimes get you get women who go after kids normally in the student-teacher relationships, and all they can say is, he was just nice to me. He wanted to be my friend. This is not a fantasy land, okay? That's not how it works. Little boys don't get the. See, these women will be like, he just took control and said that he wanted this, even though most of the time the boys don't do that. These women think that they can just fantasize of a boy that they can control. It's the same thing with these demons, right? They think they can control them, and that gets them off. And then they end up doing horrible things, like they did with the man with the panic attack, and they do this to children. I've seen it happen too many times. It's a weird thing. Porn is corrupting all of society. It's really destroying us. I'm glad more people are standing up. Even people who aren't religious, who don't believe in Satan, don't believe in God, don't believe in anything, no Allah, no Muhammad, nothing. They just believe in nothing. They believe in stars and the dirt. And they are even starting to realize, hey, there's a problem. We're doing Pokemon Smash and Pass, and we're talking. My Little Ponies has been a thing for a very long time, but it's a big thing also in the anime world. We got more young men who are saying, "I want to watch anime." Oh, wait a minute. If you watch a lot of anime, you start to see young women because a lot of anime girls, not all, but there's a lot of anime girls are normally teenagers, right? We're just gonna let that rock. But a lot of these girls are teenagers. Something to think about. Let me grab this. Oh, look over. How are you still going? So, it's just the truth, man. Pornography always leads to the darkest thing, and the sickest thing. And we're going to see more of this stuff if we don't get a control and a grasp on it. It's not cool to like a demon slash bull half dog cat. It's the same thing for you men. It's not cool to like to see women with. I know what you guys be looking at. As much as you guys love to go after those people who say that they got things and there are other things, I know you guys be liking that futon, right? I know you be liking those weird fantasies of women who have baseball bats, okay? Those hermaphrodites. I know you guys be loving that because it's one of the most popular genres when it comes to hentai, right? You guys looking at tentacles and saying that that's normal. Tentacles, my boy. We're talking about octopus tentacles and demon lords. Men are looking at some weird ass shit too. They just don't read about it. But I just want to say this, just to not defend the men, but if men came out and say, "Hey, I like to look at tentacles, demons, vampires, and half chickens," they would get cooked on the internet. So that's what we're about to start doing to these women. If you come out and say you want to have sex with a half, and not even a half bull, half man, like a 80% bull. And the only thing that makes this bull different is it can stand up and talk. That's it. Everything else is all the same thing. Same mouth, same tongue, same nose, same eyes, same hooves. Hooves, motherfucker, hooves. We're talking about hooves. These women are getting onto a hoof, saying, "My hoofs are going to dirty up your sheets." Hoofs. You get the point.